Check this out. Hand traps are traps that you activate from your hand. My guy, it is a literal trap in your hand. Bro, if Fred from Scooby-Doo heard this, he would be proud of you guys right now. What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is Tier List Tuesday. I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Now, I know you guys were probably wanting a tier list on some of the most
powerful budget decks post Cyberstorm Access. These budget decks are unstoppable, and just with a little bit of change, you're gonna be destroying the meta.
I ain't got it right now. Because we are moving into a new format, I really want to take my time going over these budget decks and see how they'll be able to operate inside of the format. I actually want to hear your input about what you think about some of the budget decks on Twitch. I am streaming at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll get you that budget tier list real soon, big dog. Let me know down below in the comment section what other tier lists you want to see as well. But since there were actually quite a few online tournaments with Cyberstorm Access, I just thought I'd be able to get you the hand traps that you need, big dog. The way you should approach Yu-Gi-Oh! Hand traps in the Cyberstorm Access format is changing, and I'm going to be giving you a full breakdown on what I think are the best hand traps, all the way down to copium. My guy, I swear, these hand traps in the right situation, they could be ballers, my man. You just don't know. You just don't know. Sometimes you just have to draw the out. In this particular tier list, I have 5 different categories. Must play hand traps. If you decide to play hand traps, these should be the ones you play all the others. Main board worthies are pretty self-explanatory. These are really good hand traps that you can play in the main board. Borderline are those hand traps that could be on the cusp of main board worthy, depending on the circumstances of the situation you're going into. Maybe it's a local or regional, or maybe you just got a gut feeling about the decks you're gonna play against. Side worthy are hand traps that are really good for your sideboard. And then of course, copium. You're not coping. These hand traps are phenomenal. Go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. It's not helping the algorithm. You're helping everyone understand them. So I was actually pretty lucky to get information from a couple of Cyberstorm Access tournaments. And if I had to roughly say what are the most popular and powerful decks being played right now, I would easily say Pearly, Kashtira, Super Heavy Samurai, Mathmech, and Manadium. Manadee's nuts in your mouth. Manadium, formerly known as Manadome. And this hand trap tier list is going to be able to reflect how these cards can counter those particular strategies, as well as some other strategies that may be lingering on from last format. Let's go ahead and start off with Artifact Delancia, big dog. I think that this card is a sideboard worthy Yu-Gi-Oh card. One thing that I did notice about the new Cyberstorm Access format is that evenly matched will be played a little bit less, because some of these decks can actually make negations to stop cards, unlike the last format. But overall, if you're having a really rough Kashtira matchup, or if you still fear evenly matched, this card could be used as a great sideboard tool to be able to help counter against both of those strategies. I would not even consider it touching it close to my main board in game 1 though. I would say that Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is back to being a low impact hand trap against most Yu-Gi-Oh decks, but still a card that you really would want to play if you are playing hand traps inside of your deck. Ash Blossom could do a pretty decent job against Pearly being able to negate their spell cards to special summon from the deck. And if I'm playing against a deck like Super Heavy Samurai, I would probably only use it if they control a monster on the field. But against decks like Mathmech and Kashtira, it could vary in its effectiveness. Overall, I do think that it's a really nice hand trap to have. The Bestial monsters are really good against Mathmech, using it in response to Super Fractorial to banish a clutch Cyberse monster, preventing them to go into their full board, and also could be good against Madodium, banishing Visa Starfrost and giving you tempo. Overall, the Bestial monsters are nowhere near as powerful as they were in Darkwing Blast format. I would say that they are a borderline type of hand trap. Now, if your deck benefits from playing monsters like Bestial Magnum Hut, maybe you need to search a particular dragon monster, then by all means, in the main board you go, and you'll have some pretty good times against the matchups that I mentioned, as well as Branded, Labyrinth, and maybe some other rogue strategies. But hypothetically, if you're just playing the Bestials for hand traps, that ain't gonna work as well, boss. I personally actually like where Bestials are at. We understand that they're powerful cards, but not every deck can play it because the meta isn't light and dark heavy. Now, Contact C on paper seems like an insane card against Kashtira. Against just about every other deck in the meta, they either have an out or you're just giving them free monsters. If I had to give you a place for Contact C, I'm saying you're coping if you think that this card is good. My brother, are you giving them a Synchro 6 material? Do you know what level Stardust Excel Synchro is and what it needs to be able to pop off? Ironically, even in the Catch Tier matchup, there are so many ways around this card. I would not be playing Contact C right now. Dami Mami with the dummy stick attributes. This is a card that is a must-play Yu-Gi-Oh card, my guys. Think about it, think about it. How many strategy spell summon from the deck? That's draw 2 cards. How many strategy spell summon from the extra deck? That's a free destruction. How many times you just want to special summon a free monster? Okay, I'm coping. I don't think that Sword Soul Iris is a card for every single deck, though I will say though, it is a lot stronger now than probably ever before. DD Crow, my boy, this card is big coping right now. I can see players using DD Crow to try to banish the level 2 monster that Stardust Excel Synchro with special summon, or also being able to banish a card that Super Fractorial with special summon, but there's better Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the game. Overall, it is not time for DD Crow to shine just yet, though it will be a good card soon enough. Now, there's something actually really weird with Dimension Shifter going on. I personally think that if your deck can play Dimension Shifter, then you should play Dimension Shifter in your sideboard. Not only is it a really good check to graveyard reliant decks like Super Heavy Samurai, Math Mechs, and Vanadium, it's also a really good card against some of the hand traps that I'm going to show you, like Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird hits every single Yu-Gi-Oh strategy in the game right now. Labyrinth players, shut the up. This is our time to talk about how good Droll is. Droll and Lockbird against Pearly, Super Heavy Samurai, Kashtira, Mathmech, and Vanadium can be a complete turn, and especially if you open this card, it's really good right now. And this card even trickles down to some of the tier 2 and rogue decks. It's a complete game changer right now. And that is a big reason that if your deck is search heavy but not graveyard reliant, you should 100% consider siding Dimension Shifter to possibly even maining Dimension Shifter. I mean, now that I think about it, that makes it kind of borderline, right? Another card that actually gets ouchie by Dimension Shifter is Effect Veiler, but it is still a main board worthy card. I do want you to keep in mind that if you are a deck that is playing cards like Droll or Effect Veiler and maybe you're graveyard reliant, you want to be wary that your opponent may side Dimension Shifter against you, so maybe side these out for some other cards that may be a little bit more effective. But overall, a full blanket negation on an entire monster effect that's pretty good. Now, ironically enough, I've seen a couple of players play with Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. The reason why is because Cyber's decks do link a lot, and with the new Firewall Defensor card, we're going to see a lot more Cybers in link strategies. I still really want to put this card in Copium, but I can't ignore the fact that it is a 2400 attack monster that prevents your opponent from targeting you and allows you to see other cards in your hand that could be potential disruptions or board breaker Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I would say sideworthy, but I'm going to give you a huge stipulation. If you do not see any Cybers players, do not even think about siding this card. This is probably the highest Thanos has been in a very long time, so he should be happy. It's experimental type good. Now, Sideframe Gear Gamma is actually ridiculously good right now. The reason why I say this is because Dimension Shifter is often activated when no monsters are on the field, and Droll and Lockbird is a card that is also a culprit for no monsters on the field. 100% a main board, borderline, and side-worthy Yu-Gi-Oh card. This card is crazy. Not only does it negate the monster effect, get rid of it, it also stops hand traps where you control no monsters, and it can make a cell synchro. Holy God. Just sign me up for this bad puppy. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit is probably one of the best hand traps in the entire game right now. Why? Well, because Pearly has a couple of cards that you can hit. Kashtira can lose cards like Kashtira Birth. You know how good that is. Super Heavy Samurai plays Pendulums. And just in case you guys were wondering, do not use Ghost Ogre on the Wukashi. Use Ghost Ogre on the other Pendulum scale because they'll have a monster on the field and won't be able to gamma you. Don't say I didn't help you out with anything. Ghost Ogre on Mathmech may not seem like the best thing, but you can get rid of a monster which prevents them from link climbing from time to time. And Ghost Ogre on Vanadium can be an FTK if you're hitting cards like Prisma. Ghost Ogre almost doesn't have any bad matchups. The fact that it is a light psychic monster that can be special summoned by emergency teleport and can be used to make Chaos Angel cards, just, it's a G. Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood, we meet again. I don't want to put you in copium, but you're never more than a side-worthy Yu-Gi-Oh card. And just like Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, I would say that Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood is more experimental. From what I've observed, other than people trying to learn their strategies, players really don't go into time as much. Ghost Bell in Haunted Mansion. Oh my God, guys. This card stops cards like Kashtira Birth. It can stop that Pearly Plump from attaching and getting real nasty. It can stop Stardust Accel Synchron, Big Welcome Labyrinth. It stops so much in the game. I'm gonna say it's borderline. This card actually has enough applications for you to be able to place it inside of your main board if you need hand traps to play, but also could be a really good, just solid card in the sideboard because it just hits so many situations. Now, Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill does have an advantage over Effect Veiler, Ciphering Gear Gamma, and Infinite Impermanence. It is a hand trap that can be activated in any phase, regardless if you have monsters, and players are going to be doing things to avoid Droll and Lockbird, like activating cards like Branded Fusion in their draw phase to summon Owlbird to their side of the field. Yeah, this card can stop it. Plus, just in case you go into time against a guy that don't know his deck real well, it's that burn damage, baby. Ghost Reaper in Winter Cherries has been copium, always will be copium. Whoever said it wasn't copium, show me the results. Yeah, remember that time where I told you that this card was trash and it didn't do nothing? Huh? Yeah, I remember? In theory, no material could be a better Yu-Gi-Oh card than what people give it credit. Being able to do this on a card like Kashtira Fenrir is pretty good. If Pearly doesn't have a lot of follow-up, being able to hit their monster that they summon, that's pretty good. Being able to stop their super heavy Samurai Soul Piercer, I think that's the one that they start off with, that's really, really good. And even hitting the correct Monodium play is a lot better. I would say, just like the other three hand traps, this would be a sideboard worthy at best. 100% experimental. I do think it does have a little bit of potential, but we'd have to test that out a little bit more in depth before we say that this card is a borderline or even a main board worthy card. But in theory, forcing your opponent to pass their turn, I mean, that's pretty good. Infinite Impermanence is a main board Yu-Gi-Oh card. As you can see, Effect Negation is exactly where it needs to be. Main board cards, really, really good in the game. And what's ironic is people always ask me, where you gonna put the review? Well, the Rock normally be cooking, decks normally be booking, everybody be looking where the TheCaliEffect put. I think it's you should shook them. So I don't think Nibiru is as bad as Copium, but one thing I do want to say about Nibiru is that it is not a main board worthy card. It's really, really good against bad Yu-Gi-Oh players, but this card is trash against good Yu-Gi-Oh players. How do I know? Well, I get the opportunity to play against players like Top Deck TJ and Jesse Cotton. Regardless, if you see a player that just doesn't respect Nibiru like yours truly against good players, this could catch them off sides, and you could get a easy just in case they wasn't respecting it. It's genuinely dependent on the player rather than the matchup, and I don't like using cards dependent on players, but it's up to you. Wait, did I just call myself a bad player? God damn it, TJ! We gotta train! Villain aren't coming! Flying Sea is actually, yo! So there's a few reasons why Flying Sea can be good. If your opponent activates Emergency Teleport to special summon Ghost Ogre, you can summon Flying Sea and they can't Ghost Ogre you. Getting this card onto the field also prevents you from being drolled in Effect Veiler too. It's like Dimension Shifter. This card is also fairly good against Pearly, as they gotta summon to the side of the field and then discard. Yeah. Get them things banished. And this card can search Contact Sea, which is good against Pearly. Holy I don't know, guys. This combo may be a little bit better than what I give it credit, but I'm still not giving up on this card not being good. And lastly, Skullmeister. This could stop the super heavy Samurai Soul Piercer. I think that's the level 4 that activates in the graveyard. And it can also stop cards like Monodium Meek from being able to activate, but unfortunately, I think there are just better hand traps to play. In those particular situations, I think that it's logical to think that this card could be good enough to just slow them down, and at very best, it could end their turn. But if they had a really bad hand, all of the other hand traps in the main board and must play would have done the same thing. And that's all that I have for a hand trap tier list post Cyberstorm Access. Of course, if you want to see more amazing content, you already know what to do. Check out these videos. And if there's a tier list idea you got for your boy, then let me know too. I really like doing tier lists. As always, guys, have a phenomenal day, and I'll catch you on the next one.